stole the thing about me, unfortunately. So I think first of all, it would be nice if we could just go down the line and say who you were and which of the films you did.
My name's Vicky Best, and my film was A Light Is Always On, which was the first one in the programme.
My name's Matty, and my film was How's Brother Life, about my brother.
My name's Sam. I'm with the last film, Existential Dread and Other Vibes.
My name's Olivia Herb. My film was Intermittent and Continuous, the second one.
Great. So you were all supported by the Northern Doc Fund. So I was wondering how it helped you each in your careers and maybe what you've done since these films.
I'll go first, because I feel like my film is very much like a time capsule of like after uni and stuff. So it's been a couple of years since then, and like the good news is that like my career-wise is like it's really taken off. Especially in the last year. Like I've made films since then. It's getting like at festivals. Like I just got like a new one. I can work with charities now that like the focus on getting young working class people, especially Northerners, into the industry. And I'm really proud of that. There's like one project that I've been working on that I can't talk about yet. That's gonna like help like in terms of policy in the city over the next year. So excited for that. But I think the most important thing that I kind of realised from that film was that like as much as this means the world to me, like making films and sharing it, that like it's very different to who I am to what I do. And like there's been ups and downs. Like after that film came the biggest down before the biggest up. So it's all about it's great how I'm doing now, but of course that like time isn't linear. It's not linear. Like I'm sure there'll be more times where things are down, and that like it's always about. It's not about like there's so many people here that I envy, but like I'm sure that they go through the same downs as I do. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've kind of brought from that since then. I don't know who wants to go next though.
I totally agree. Yeah, like the Doc Fund and the films that we made, I think have helped all our careers. But like for me, yeah, definitely opened a lot of doors. Like I mean, one of the coolest opportunities I've had since was there was a producer that had seen the film, a screening much like this, like a screening with friends and loved ones, and he was working on Channel 4 doc, and he asked if I'd join on it. And so that is just one of those happenstance opportunities that came about because somebody was in the right place at the right time but had seen the film. But to echo like exactly what you said as well, Sam, is like there's plenty of hard times that come along the way as well. Like we see the rosy, beautiful aspects, but there's plenty of ups and downs along the way as well. But very grateful for all the opportunities that have sort of unravelled in front of me as a result of the film.
Oh, you'll let me go. Okay. Yeah, so I think much like Sam and Matty, I think when we made these films we were all in a similar position, like we just finished uni, and I think right out the gate, like getting that commission from Northern Heart and being on the Doc Fund set the wheels in motion. And I was like a tragic filmmaker without a camera. Northern Heart Film let me borrow theirs very graciously. Getting sort of to go into Sticks and Glass and having like professionally graded, professionally coloured, really felt like a step up from university and being somebody who trusted your idea and championed you and championed the voice that you had. And I think in some ways that gave us, for myself personally, gave me the confidence that my voice in film was important and was worth listening to. And I'll always be grateful for that.
Yeah, I also got this commission straight out of uni and was so grateful to be able to continue the momentum from that. And then, as you brought into the conversation, which I really appreciate, Sam, is also the lows being very much just part of this. And like have since been looking at how to structure like an ecosystem of survival around me to be able to still participate in doing this, because I adore it, but wanting it to be sustainable and to provide a quality of life that is enjoyable at large. And so it's really nice to be able to have the opportunity to come together and discuss this in spaces, because things can sometimes feel kind of isolating, and being together in person and getting to all pitch in our experiences is such a helpful part of the process. And I loved getting the opportunity to, for instance, like have a professional mix and master and colour grade, and that was a novel experience. So yeah, I really appreciate that opportunity.
Great, that kind of leads into my next question perfectly, because one of the sort of themes that I noticed across each of your films was a sense of community and finding your place in the world, in a way. And I think one of the films mentions that filmmaking is kind of a community, the film community. So I was just wondering what community means to each of you and in your filmmaking, and yeah.
I think that, well, my film, I mean, quite literally speaks to the Gujarati community in Bolton. Something that I feel I'm connected to. My mother's family's from India, and it's Gujarati. So I think in terms of the community that I wanted to portray when I made the film, I thought it was really important to show a community of people and a way of life that wasn't what you would expect in the centre of Bolton, and kind of battling against that and trying to interweave, and the people from them out here to see themselves on a screen, and now even just in London, I think is really powerful. Not that I'm powerful, but the film is powerful. And I think just championing that community and showing people, and I think as well, like myself, it's an exploration for me into what that means in my place in all of it. And I mean, this is my community. Started off like Sam Matty. That was my community straight out of uni, and now I live here, and it just keeps on growing. I think being in the north and being in that nice like space, and that Scott and Natasha showed us.
Yeah, Scott and Natasha, shout out for creating spaces like this where filmmakers can connect to each other.
Thank you. Yeah, I think while the House Bill Life doesn't necessarily go into a specific community explicitly, like Louis, my brother, he has Asperger's, and that was a really long process of getting a diagnosis and figuring out like why he felt different and where he fits in and the kind of people that he fits in with, and having that conversation with Louis brought us really close together, and we were already quite a tight-knit family, but there was so much I didn't know or didn't understand about Louis, and so finding the deepening of that relationship that we already had has been one of the best things I've ever done in my life, to be honest, and I'm very grateful for kind of the film almost accidentally giving us that opportunity, and then sort of what's happened as a result of that is a lot of questioning of myself and like my own tendencies and my own sort of being and realising I think there may be something in me that I saw in Lou, and it's not autism, but I pursued a diagnosis for ADHD, and I have ADHD, and being able to understand that part of myself has just unlocked a whole new way of looking at the world that I'd have never had were it not for the film and Louis sharing his experiences with me, which all only came because of sort of seeking to give Louis a sense of community or belonging, like sharing his experience and looking for people who could connect, and so it all just like chain reaction, and so yeah, I'm very grateful for all of that.
I don't know how to like add on to that, to both those points, but I think for me it's like any good art, any good film, like it is all based in community. Like if you think of any like through history and stuff, like the best movements come from like a community of filmmakers who've like got together and have get in like rule like French New Wave, maybe some of the more like pretentious stuff, which is fine, I'm not too far detached from that. But then I think what like Scott and Natasha are doing, they're building their community now, and it's very much based on the idea of like a sort of helping working class northern filmmakers kind of make their find their feet in the industry, and that change is like massive because it's like it's never been done, and it's like still been, even though we have Media City now and we have like a lot of industries moving up north, like it's still incredibly difficult. So for that to change, you need to have community to do that. Like any kind of big movement, and like this kind of creating any change has been happening through community. Just to marry that with filmmaking, like it's like such an amazing thing. So like I'm just kind of like really excited to see like how how it impacts like the films themselves when like the further like the doc fund goes on, and like the filmmakers that like Vicky and Matty's next film, and like your next film and Rose's film, like so it's really exciting. Like I just think it can go anywhere.
Yeah, it's really nice that like being given the opportunity to foster community is baked into this past as well, with things like Sheffield Doc Fest that's inherently communal and in person, and I really value that. I got to meet people there that worked on the sound and the camera, and through that opportunity, and of course all of you guys, that's so nice to keep seeing and seeing what we're all up to.
And
But
Olivia and I have reunited. We went to university together actually. We were on the same film course.
yeah, we walked into it, like, I know your
I
face.
saw the list of films and Olivia's name on the list, and I was like, I swear I've met Olivia Hurd. Yeah, yeah,
So nice to see you again.
yeah.
And also something that, I mean, one of my favourite elements of doing documentary filmmaking is that having that camera and that curiosity does allow you to enter so many communities and learn from each one that you enter. Like Rita and the people at the Breeden factory, they all love their jobs. I loved going to a 9 till 5 full-time job, something I've never had before. I was like, this looks really good, everyone's really happy and really lovely to each other. So just like learning as you go in each community and taking things that you might want to incorporate into your life as well from that experience is a really fortunate part of the process.
Oh, great. So one other question I had for you all was whether you have a particular filmmaker who inspired your work, or anyone really in life. Yeah. No.
No, loads, but
I was just going to say, like, I've used this joke before, but it's good, so I'm going to say it again. And it's true. Agnes Varda's a really big influence for me, especially, like, as a filmmaker with a bob. Like, that's really important to me. I think her documentaries speak to community and a delicacy in her filmmaking, which I think I enjoy as well. Errol Morris is great as well.
I was going to say Agnes Varda as well, so I'm taking the mic now. Yeah, just to have that sense of form can be absolutely boundless, and if you start with your question and allow that to dictate the form that it takes and how you explore audio visually, I love her for that, and Tarkovsky for his landscapes.
I can see a lot of Tarkovsky in your work, actually.
I have two. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, I have loads, basically. One is Charlie Shackleton. He's from London. Like, he's a really, like, he makes non-fiction films, but, like, again, like, they're not necessarily documentaries. And I think, like, it can make me realise there's a difference between the two. And the second one, there's a filmmaker called Victoria Applebeck. She kind of makes, again, if you saw her work and you saw my work, then, like, you would know that, like, I'm ripping off, like, everything that she does.
Is she the director of Motherboard?
Yeah,
I've
well,
met
yeah.
her.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing is, this week I got an email from Natasha and Scott being like, oh, she's having a screening in Liverpool, do you want to have your film before it? So it's like, genuinely, like, I don't even know how they put it. It feels not even real. So, genuinely, like, that's, like, my number one. Like,
Great choice.
you know, I feel like if she can see my film, then she can know that, like, I'm going to have some kind of, like, legal papers or whatever. But, yeah, that's definitely my number one.
Yeah, Motherboard's a great one.
I don't know some of these, but I'm terrible with names, like people's names. But the documentary filmmakers who made there's Dick Johnson is Dead, which is like there's a lady who's like her father's dying of Alzheimer's, and she like constructs these fake death scenes to help them both come to terms with it, and it's like really funny and really sad as well, and it's so lovely. And then also The Remarkable Life of Ibsen, which is amazing, and I feel like I could relate to a lot with Louis and some of his struggles, different but similar. And then, I mean, for a very much longer period of time than either of those two films have affected me, Alfonso Cuarón is one of my favourite directors, not in documentary, in fiction. And funnily enough, I actually a couple of months ago bumped into him while he was riding a line bike, like not far from here, which is really weird. Like, and she was like, "Oh, Alfonso," and then he like pulled over, and he was like, "Hello." And I said, "Oh, hi, yeah, I'm Matty. Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your films." Like stalled so hard in front of him, but that was really cool as well. So yeah, a lot of inspirations.
Thank you so much, everyone. I think I'm going to pass over to the audience now if anyone would like to ask questions.
I have two questions. I thought all of your films were amazing, by the way. They were so good.
I just wanted to say that they were amazing, all of them. I had a question from Matty first, which was, how's Louis doing? Like, and how did he feel about himself being immortalised on the big screen?
Yeah. I mean, Lou's doing so much better now. So much better than he was. We filmed a load with a charity called the Brem Project, which operates in Cheshire, where I'm from. And we didn't actually include any of it in the film. It sort of felt like it didn't really fit, but they've been a huge help to him. Like they provide help and support for people with Asperger's and autism. So they have helped massively. And then really cool has been being able to go around to all the different places that the film has been able to screen and bring Louis to most of them. He's not here today, but and having the film finish, and like a lot of the time people get quite emotional watching it, and then sort of like come over to Louis and be like, "You're such an inspiration. My son, my daughter, my husband, wife, cousin, everyone knows someone like Louis," and then seeing like the intensity of connection that they share after just watching the film. Like they don't really know him, but they know his story, or at least this part, was so cathartic for him, and like moved me to tears sometimes. It's like insane, something you make can have that kind of real world effect.
It made me cry. It's amazing.
I hope, yeah, good. Yeah, useful tears maybe.
I'm sorry to hog the mic, but I just wanted to ask Olivia, where did you meet the amazing Rita?
Oh, she is so amazing. In the ladies' toilets, where a lot of good things happen. Yeah, I approached the building in the factory itself because it's quite a divisive. It's slap bang in the middle of the Peak District, and some people love it, some people hate it. And I was intrigued as to its role in the local community and environment. And so I was having a meeting there, and I met her in the toilet, and we just got on really well and asked about her story, and then was hooked. So yeah, fortunate timing.
I can shout, it's fine. I've got a question for young filmmakers who are thinking about making documentary films, or any age making a documentary film. How long did it take you to make your individual films? I'm talking from the concept to the final finished piece, or where long? But that's a question for everybody.
I do remember the timeline. I'm trying to work out the timeline. So we received the funding in January 2023. I shot in February, and then the film screened on the 1st of July that year. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. But my filming, so I was like, it was just me, and then I had my sound person, my sound recordist. So I shot in 3 days, I think. But I had like subsequent meetings beforehand, and then meetings afterwards with Amanda. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. But I think making a film in, I guess, 6 months just over is really good. It's so good to have a timeline when you're making something. Like if you're doing a passion project, I'm doing it at the moment where I'm like, yeah, my deadline's here, but like it could move because it's me and art takes time. But I think actually having like a picture lock day is really great to have something to work towards. But it's also good to do it in a structure with an art film and have people that we went to and were like, I think this is rubbish, and be like, yes, or they would be like, no, it's not rubbish. So yeah, that wasn't my answer, but that was the literal timeline. Do you want to say something?
Sure, yeah, that was a good answer. Thank you for reminding me, 2023 was when we got the funding, but I made a version of this film like in 2020 with, when I was still in uni, with Louis, and it was awful, it was so bad, and I just like, I really deeply regretted having sort of like misfired in that way. And then so much of what happens in this version of the film hadn't happened. Like, you know, his darkest moment hadn't happened. And I realised afterwards that I sort of thought he was at the end of an arc, but I've really misjudged the timing of the making of the film. And so then after everything that had happened and he was starting recovering, I asked him again, like, would you make it again? It'll be different, but it'll be, you know, going over some similar subject matter at times. But he said yes. So that was 2020. We made the first one. 2023 we got funding for this second sort of iteration, and then concluded same time as Vicky. So yeah, it was like almost 4 years in a way, but same 6-month period of actually turning this one around.
I think the longest part for me is always nowadays to like pick an idea that you can spend like 6 months or a year on, like finding a subject that you really care about or a topic or an idea. For me, it's much more personal. So it's like I feel like I need to find ways to get life experience first. So like I think that's the biggest thing. And then like I get like Vicky, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna make I want to make 3 films this year, but I'm probably gonna make like half of one if I'm lucky. So like that's kind of what it is. It's like normally as well, like I'll like have like the week before I actually finish it, like everything changes and stuff. So like I think that's like normally I just wait till the week before in it. So
I think we got my year got the funding around May, and then I think I was doing mixing and mastering in September-ish. It's honestly all quite a blur, but it was like I went for a few ideas before getting to Rita. It was changing shape quite a lot, and Northern Heart were very generous with that and understanding of that. And then it was about 4 days shooting, and then edit. Just in that groove non-stop. So yeah, I think about 4 or 5 months-ish. But I was kind of like wrapping my life around it. It was quite an absorbed period. So yeah, it does take a lot. And like the physical element of it, obviously, of lugging around all your kit and meeting people you don't know all the time. And yeah, it's so wonderful to get to immerse yourself in a whole new world for a season though. Love it.
I think, do we have time for one more? One more question then?
I'll confess that I don't know very much about what you do. I was really impressed by what I saw though. So it's kind of an emotional reaction more than anything else. This is maybe a question for Victoria and Olivia, if you don't mind. I was really struck by the fact that Victoria, you chose to use very shallow depth of field in the way that you isolate your subjects, and Olivia used very, broad depth of field to isolate yours, and yours was in many ways a lot like, many tableau of what you were seeing. What drove your artistic choices in that context? I'm curious.
Yeah, I kind of, because of the intergenerational element of the story, the fact that her dad had been working in the factory and then she was, I really wanted, and obviously hers is one of many stories in there because I did quite a bit of research before and so many people that it has been generation after generation that's worked there. So I wanted the camera to feel stationary and like a piece of machinery itself that was witnessing these people pass through, but that was there to stay. So that's, that was my reasoning.
And mine was, I like to work with visual themes, and so texture, hands, and movement, shadows, things that are in that film are all things that I find that my eye is drawn to. So I almost used the camera in that instance. It all felt very instinctual, and I thought that was the best way to observe a space. And I was trying to think in terms of an audience that might have never been to a Mandir, what is something that people's eyes, or my eye, was drawn to, and how can I show that, and how is that interesting to allow you to process what they were saying. And so I just enjoy isolating movements and tones and colours. And I guess selfishly it's something that I enjoy watching and looking at and finding in rooms, and so it's to sort of portray that So I guess it's just me kind of having my hands all over it. But, yeah, thanks for the lovely question.
Just before we close, I have a little gift for each of our filmmakers. London Breeze t-shirts from the 10th anniversary, which was last October. Pass them along, yeah. Oops, sorry. I think there's also one for Roz, who directed Kitty's Accordion, who couldn't make it today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get changed.
That's very good. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone. It was great to see Matty again. He had 2 films in our Breeze programme in 2024. This one and Ride the Line. So, great achievement there. Yeah.
T-shirt's really cool.
Sorry, I'll let you go very shortly, but thank you very much for that. I also just want to give a shout out to Edie. So we've got one of the filmmakers that we're currently supporting, so Edie's film is in post-production, so if anyone wants to chat to Edie, give us a wave. Sorry, let's stop right now. Thank you for that. Just very quickly, thanks Emily, thank you to the filmmakers, thanks to all the photographers as well for coming. Thank you for coming out on a Sunday morning. What a great way to start the day. Thanks again to Selfie Cinema, London Breeze for helping with this event. And if anyone wants to come and chat more about Dot North and what we're building, come and chat to me or Scott there. I think some of the filmmakers might stick around, so if anyone's got any more questions, please do. So yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for supporting.
Thank you.